All right, in this lesson, 2.7, we're going to talk about using the distributive property. So what that means is when we're talking about distributive property of multiplication over addition, let's say you have three numbers, A, B, and C, so that A times B plus C is equal to A times B plus A times C, because A needs to be multiplied by everything in here. I like to say it's being passed out amongst everything in here. And B plus C times A will be the same thing. B times A plus C times A. A needs to be multiplied by everything in there. Subtraction is going to be the same thing. If you've got A times B minus C, you're going to have A times B minus A times C. And it could be rewritten this way. B minus C, all of that times A. So B times A minus C times A. Now I put some numbers in to give us some examples. So number 1, 9 times x minus 5. We want to distribute this 9. So 9 times x, take away 9 times 5, which is 45. Number 2, negative 3 times everything in here, y minus 3. So negative 3 times y is negative 3y. And negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. 4/3 times everything in here times s minus t plus w. So that would be 4/3 times s minus 4/3 times t, right here, plus 4/3 times w, right over here. Or you might have a problem that looks like this. Negative 4 times everything in here, x minus 2y plus 3z. You got negative 4x, and a negative times a negative is a positive, so plus 8y. And a negative times a positive is a negative, so 4 times 3z is negative 12z. So there's distributing. Now factoring is the reverse of distributing. That's when you see what they have in common and take it out. So AB plus AC, they both have A's in common, so I'm going to take it out, and I'm left with B plus C inside the parentheses. Same with subtraction. A times B minus A times Z is equal to A times B minus C. So let's put some numbers in here and give some examples. 5x minus 5y, when I look at that, I notice they both have 5's in common. They don't have any variables in common, but they do have 5's. So I'm going to take the 5 out, and I'm left with x minus y. AX minus AY plus AZ, hopefully you notice they all have A's in common. So I'm going to take that, factor out the A, that's the word for it, factor. I'm left with X minus Y plus Z inside the parentheses. Negative 3x plus 6y minus 9z. Hopefully when you look at something like this, you see that 3 can go into 3, it can go into 6, it can go into 9. So if you take out 3, divide by 3, you're left with just a negative x. Divide 6 by 3, you're left with 2y. And divide negative 9 by 3, and you're left with negative 3z. And since this was negative in front of my x, I'm going to show you right here, I could factor out that negative, which flips the sign of everything in the parentheses if I'm factoring that out. So it could be negative 3 times x minus 2y plus 3z. This one looks a little harder because it's fractions, but we're going to do it the same way. 1/2 x plus 3/2 y minus 1/2. Hopefully you notice they all have at least a half in common. So if I take my half out, Here I'm left with just x. Here I'm left with 3 because I took the 1/2 out, 3y. And here, when I take the half out, any number is multiplied by 1, so you have to leave that -1 inside when you take the half out. Next, I'm going to give you a little terminology. The terms of an expression are each part of the expression, and each term can be separated into factors. So I wrote this expression right here, 3x minus 4y plus 2z. And I want to show you that the terms are 3x, another term is -4y, and another term is 2z. If I separate those terms into their factors, 3x is 3 and x. -4y is -4 and y. 2z is 2 and z. Now, because of this, sometimes we may need to collect like terms by using the distributive property and factoring when we solve an equation. So here on this one, I'm trying to show you what that looks like. So suppose you're given 2x plus 3y minus 5x minus 2y. What I'm going to do first, I underline my x's in red to show you. I'm going to put them together, 2x minus 5x. And I underline my y's in yellow so you can see those. And I'm going to put those together, plus 3y minus 2y. I can factor out an x because both of these have an x in common and be left with 2 minus 5. Here I can factor out a y and be left with 3 minus 2. And if I do what's in parentheses, 2 minus 5 is -3, here I'm left with -3 times x. And 3 take away 2 is 1, and 1 times y is y. Now, a shorter way to do that, this is just to show you how that works. A shorter way to do that is down here. All I did, again, I did put my like terms together, my x's and my y's. And then I just looked at it and I said, well, 2x, if I have 2x and I take 5x away, I know I have -3x. And if I have 3y and I take 2y away, I know I have just 1y left. So I'm going to get the same answer both ways. This way up here just kind of shows you how this works out. But you can do it this way and it will be shorter and simpler for you. So we'll be working on some problems like that this week. Thank you very much.